All right, welcome back, YouTube. This is Detroit coming back to you from the bunker here in Rochelle Park, New Jersey. Welcome to another episode of the YouTube Wars. This is Axis and Allies, the Garrison. All right, guys, so we're rapidly approaching the end of round seven. It is the UK's turn. Corporal 24 will be making strategic moves in not only the Atlantic theater, the European theater of war, but also in the Pacific. I believe that he'll be declaring one battle and one battle only in the European theater of war. Reason being that basically at this stage of the game, it's really become a game of positioning and movement. Okay, the Allies are doing their best, okay, at positioning their forces strategically this way so that we can deny the Axis powers any further gains. Let's keep in mind that this current score is 9 out of 12 possible victory points. Yes, 9 out of 12. And the Axis powers need 12 in order to win the game by the end of round 8. All right, so basically, we are getting there and the end is near, whether it be for the Axis or the Allies. So sit tight, enjoy the show. We'll be back shortly. All right, let's review the current naval and ground situation for the British Empire now in round seven. Okay, as we all know previously, the German army through an Operation Sea Lion had successfully invaded the British Isles. London was invaded and is now occupied. To add insult to injury, the British were also cleared from the vast majority of their overseas possessions in northern Africa, which include not only the Middle East, but Cairo, the capital of Egypt. Okay, so, but having said that, not all is bad news. Fortunately for the British, they still have a formidable fleet in Sea Zone 106, where they have a fleet consisting of one battleship, a cruiser, and a naval transport. Okay, these naval vessels or this fleet will play a crucial role during the latter stages of this game or this war. Okay, so let's go over to Southeast Asia, where the story is somewhat, actually not somewhat, but a lot more optimistic. Earlier in the game, the Japanese had been successful with taking Shan State and Burma from the British. The British, with the assistance of their allies, both the Anzacs and the Americans, were able to successfully drive the Japanese out of these British possessions. Okay, as a matter of fact, the British even were able to assist with the liberation of several Chinese provinces, which include Sichuan, Yunnan, Hunan, and Guangxi. As a matter of fact, the British are even poised to make further inroads with further liberation of Japanese-held Chinese provinces. Okay, so definitely very optimistic for the British in the Pacific theater of war. Okay, so let's review the purchases that the British made, that Corporal 24 made for the British as acting as the commander-in-chief of the British forces. Corporal 24 went ahead and purchased one artillery, one infantry division, and one strategic bomber for the British forces. All right, sit tight. We'll be back with the order of battle and non-combat movements. All right, before we go into the order of battle, let's do a little bit of housekeeping here. During the USA's turn, I made an error where I've actually landed three strategic bombers that brought over 6 infantry. As it turns out, that was an illegal move that was denied by the Axis powers. Reason being that it's just in the rules. Apparently, it's got to be when transporting friendly forces into a friendly territory, there has to be an equal number of ground units on a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, I was unaware of that, so ignorance killed the cat, I guess. Instead, my 6th Infantry will remain in the Philippines, and instead of having my bombers land in Kenya, okay, they will be redeployed and will be landing in South Africa. So my 3 bombers are currently in South Africa. Okay, so just a little bit of house cleaning there, or housekeeping for you to be up to date with what's going on with those aircraft. All right, so let's go ahead with the order of battle for the British. The British declared only one battle, and it's the battle is going to take place in Sea Zone 112, where you have one British Spitfire attacking the single unprotected German naval transport in Sea Zone 112. That Spitfire is coming over from the American carrier in Sea Zone 104 at a movement of 2. Okay, that naval transport is sunk, unopposed. The fighter will return to the American carrier, okay, which then means it's the end of all battles. We now go into non-combat movements, okay? So let's recap what those movements were. Okay, the fighter, the other fighter that was on the American carrier will move at 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and will land in British Guiana. Okay, the 2 British infantry divisions in Brazil will move north and at a movement of 1 and will reinforce the Allied air forces in British Guyana. Okay, all right, what else? Okay, the British fleet, the battleship and cruiser in Sea Zone 106 at a movement of 3 will reinforce 1, 2, and 3 will reinforce the U.S. carrier in Sea Zone 104. All right. Okay, so what else? What am I forgetting here? I think that's about it for the Atlantic. So let's move over to the Middle East, where the British will be moving their mechanized infantry that is currently in Persia. They'll move it into Iraq. All right, so that's done. Okay, the British still have 1 artillery division in Persia, which is right there. Okay, now let's go over to Southeast Asia, where the British will be moving 2 infantry divisions, 2 artillery, 1 AAA coming over from Yunnan, and will be reinforcing the American Armored Division in Hunan. All right, also the mechanized infantry division in Sichuan will be moving at a count of 2, at a movement of 2, and reinforcing the Allies in Hunan as well. The 2 divisions, British, 1 artillery, 1 infantry, will be moving into Kiangsi and will be reinforcing the American infantry division in Kiangsi as well. Okay, the British bomber in Kwangsi will be transporting 1 infantry division at a movement of 1, 2, 3, and 4 will land in India and will offload or drop off the infantry division into into India. I'm sorry, I'm missing actually 1 British infantry, which I'm forgetting. It's actually 2, not 1 that was there. So now you have 2 infantry divisions that are being brought over by that British bomber. All right, what else? I think I pretty much covered all of the non-combat movements for the British. So let's go ahead with the final placements of units. The British will be placing 1 artillery and 1 infantry division in Quebec. Just keep in mind that the British have a naval transport still in Sea Zone 106, giving the Allies or the British options later on for round 8. Okay, the British bomber that was just produced will be placed in India, in Calcutta. Okay, so that'll be 2 British bombers that are currently located in Calcutta, in India. All right, so definitely not much fighting for the British in round 7, but definitely it is very obvious that Corporal 24 is playing a game of strategy. He's very deep into a game of chess, a game of positioning, and counter movements. Corporal 24 realizes, like we all do on the Allied side, that it is a game of positioning now and denying the Axis powers as many victory points as possible. And that's the name of the game at this stage of the game. All right, guys, that's about it for this turn. The torch now is officially being turned over to VK Cowboy and his Italians. A lot remains to be said, and a lot of weight is held on his shoulders, on VK Cowboy's shoulders. He has a tough job up ahead of him coming his way. Definitely not easy. VK Cowboy has to make major decisions, and I believe he also has to have Lady Luck on his side because things are starting to get tough for the Axis. All right. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And as always, let me know what you think. Detroit out. And by the way, don't forget to bunker down and play.